So, in an effort to cast a wide net with different videos to try to promote my side business, which is the only reason I have a YouTube channel, I am today talking about some of the movies that I think are the most overrated. Not necessarily well known. Um, I'll be including for the most part, the IMDb score. Um, and it's just also ones that are just pop culture in general. These aren't ranked, and I will admit that my scores, which you will see, are often a bit of an overcorrection, which I know you're not supposed to do, but a lot of this is my own pettiness and piss that I watched a movie I didn't like. Uh, I watch a lot of horror movies, so that's what most of this list is. They aren't ranked, and keep in mind for spoilers if you care. So the first on the list is a movie called Cemetery Man, which IMDb has it as a 7. And a trend you're gonna see in this list is I don't like it when things are style without substance. I'm so angry I can't even talk. And here's the point. Now, granted, the style is good. The atmosphere, the sort of gothic, cemetery thing, it's fine. The plot is thin and confusing. Reminds me of Phoenix. That's not true. This guy has to kill people when they come back as zombies, which they always do. He doesn't seem to ask why. Meanwhile, he's chasing this gorgeous woman that keeps dying and being reborn, or there's doppelgangers, or she's triplets at least. I don't know. Meanwhile, he has this Quasimodo sidekick who falls in love with this girl, and I do mean girl. Even when she comes back as a zombie head. And it has the worst plot twist I think I've seen, at least I can think of, beyond something like Signs, or what's another really bad plot twist? I don't know. Pick a different M. Night Shyamalan movie from his bad period. And I commented about it, like YouTube channels, whatever. And people get like smug about this movie, like more than any other movie I've commented on, even when I'm trying to be cordial. They're like, oh, you just need to get better taste or something like that. The next one on the list is a movie called Addiction, or it might be The Addiction. I didn't bother enough to look. Since at 6.5. And this movie actually took me 2 attempts to get through. The first one, I lasted about 5 minutes. Again, a lot of style. Like, first off, it's in black and white, which is, I don't want to say a red flag for a modern movie to be black and white, but pardon the pun, it is. They're playing on words. It's a movie about vampires, a very unconventional one, but it does the drug allegory, and I think it also comments on like the AIDS epidemic, which that's been done before and since. Vampirism is drug addiction. I am running low on power. Hopefully I can record this in time. But it's been done better. Again, before and since. There's a movie called Habit, which follows a similar type of group, urban sort of hipster kinds. Same thing with the drug allegory, but it's just so much better. The characters are more interesting. The acting's better. It's more subtle, even though you clearly get the point. And like the lead, she's pretty insufferable. She's trying to get her PhD in philosophy, which I don't even know how, what, why. And she's like randomly goes on these rants, so it almost seems like they're making a parody of philosophy. If you've watched the videos about the craziest stuff I saw on dating apps, there was one woman I remember, she said she was a retired philosopher who now works in IT. And my comment was, well, because philosopher is not a job, at least anymore. Next on the list, 3, is a movie called Under the Skin, which sits at 6.3. And this one is, this alien comes to Earth, assumes the form of Scarlett Johansson to like lure guys to feed to this black hole sledge thing. I don't know. And again, I get what they were doing. It's commenting about sexuality, gender roles, things like that. But again, I just feel like that's been done better. And this is very artsy. and like there's not a lot of dialogue, and it feels stretched out. Like it could have been served better as a short. I don't know, maybe an episode of Black Mirror or something like that. And let's be honest, guys and girls, I'm not one to judge. You saw this because Scarlett Johansson's naked. Just don't lie to yourself. Doesn't mean it also couldn't have been a good movie, but it wasn't. Next on the list is the most controversial on this list, and I swear I'm not trolling. It's a Wonderful Life, which sits at 6.8. Oh, sorry. Touch of dyscalculia right there. 8.6. So this is the highest ranking movie on this list. And it's one of those movies where I had seen it without seeing it. Parodies and clips and just being part of culture. I'd basically seen it. But I finally sat down to watch it about 2 years ago. The guys from Tracks are doing it. And I'm sure they're only doing it because it's public domain, which is also kind of the only reason why it's a classic. Looking at that story, it's actually kind of interesting. And I was, let's say, at a lower point in terms of like social and physical health and things like that. So, I wanted to laugh. And, this guy, his life was pretty good. Beautiful loving wife, seemingly good kids. The town loved him. I think they had like a parade of his name or something. And besides the fact that, he's deaf in one ear and he has a really stupid voice, which I get that's the point, is that he didn't realize how good his life was. But it's like, one mistake that I don't think was exactly your mistake. You want to end it all? It's just, I get what they were doing. I'm not stupid. But had I been using this, making this movie or using this concept, I would have gone with someone more of an average Joe or below average Joe. I'm going to trademark that term. And make this about, this is like the third time I recorded this video today, about the smaller moments in life, things that you don't think are important, or at least that aren't important to you, but matter to other people. I'm assuming Jimmy Stewart's beautiful wife would have gotten married. She wouldn't have, without him, she wouldn't have as an old maid, working in a library, which actually aren't that many of them. Most of us are married. I'm not. Still, it's just, I know everyone has their own biases of classics. Like A Christmas Story is personal to me. I know there are a lot of people who hate it, but to each his own. That's why it's my list. Next up is Burn After Reading, which sits at 7 on IMDb. It's just not funny. The only funny part is when Brad Pitt suddenly gets shot. I remember my parents and I watched it. I think I was community college, high school. Someone else recommended it. We all had the same reaction. When it ended, we were just like, okay. Like, I'm not alone. I've heard other people talk about thinking like they didn't get it. I don't know if there is something to get, or it's just not my kind of humor. There are certain things like Best in Show, which I also don't like. But it seems kind of the forced quirky kind of thing that I also talk about on the dating apps I don't like, but I'm spitballing here. Next up on the list is Point Break, which I actually gave a 3, even though it has a 7.3 on IMDb. I mean, it's very 90s. I mean, I'm a 90s kid, so I can't comment too much about it. But like, I actually watched it about a year and a half ago when Riff Tracks Live was doing it, because it's plenty to make fun of. I mean, Keanu Reeves hadn't learned how to act. Patrick Swayze's hypocritical bro philosophy of like, yeah, go both ways, and but we only steal from the register, not safe. We don't kill people until at the end when we actually start killing people, and it's just really annoying. Plenty of stupid moments that you're not supposed to laugh at, but you kind of do. I mean, the action was good. The chase sequences, iconic now. The surfing was good, stuff, the action like that. But it's a dumb watch, which is fine when you know you're a dumb watch. But I think this movie might think it's deeper than it is. I don't know. Next on the list might be the most obscure, or one of the more obscure ones on this list. It's a movie called Dogtooth, which sits at 7.1. I believe it's a Greek film. And I already don't like homeschool religious kind of types. And this is like so extreme of that it's almost like parody level ridiculousness. This couple has their like adult kids or teens, that they gaslight into living in their compound. Meanwhile, the dad hires one of his workers to be a hooker for the son, but when that goes south with really weird moments, their next their solution to that problem is incest. And if I was worried about monetization, I wouldn't have explained the plot. I mean, hell, if anyone's actually gonna see this video. But yeah, that's the effed up, man. Next is for the ones gonna give me the most trouble with my fellow horror fans, and that is Us, which is at 6.8 on IMDb. I actually gave it a 2 instead of the ones like on this list. I kind of think Jordan Peele's overrated to begin with. I mean, after what he did to Twilight Zone, which is, one of my personal favorites of all time. I haven't seen that one from the 80s or 90s, whatever it was yet. So, I'll do comment about that later. But anywho, and I will give it credit for Us. The idea was good. We don't see a lot of doppelganger movies, at least that's the whole thing, outside of like some moments in like haunted house movies. The twist was really good. It had some freaky moments. But this movie is in a class, a small class, where it feels both too long and too short. And what I mean is some stuff got way over explained, like the motivation of the clones of like Hands Across America, or why they got the red suits and scissors, but like other things weren't explained at all. Like, how do you get those? And I don't remember, are the clones supposed to be like science experiment, or like is it magical and is it only Coney Island? And it just, unfortunately, there's a bad trend of message first, then your story. And things like the original Twilight Zone were the inverse. So I don't know. I'm not sure what the message was for Us. I mean, like Get Out, the message was pretty damn clear, but this was, I don't know. Next, this is probably the most obscure one. It's a movie called High Strung, which says at 6.5 on IMDb. It's also the one I've seen closest to the time of recording. It's not on streaming. It's not on DVD. I just saw some guy on YouTube had uploaded it, probably illegally. I lasted about 10 minutes, which I know seems, call a movie already, you should be able to see at least most of it. But it opens with this guy breaking the fourth wall, talking to the camera about how frustrating it is to get the ratio of cereal and milk, and how he can't throughout his whole life. And then there's some plot, and there's something else he's ranting about. And then, yeah, it's just, and I don't know if like that kind of bit will work better as like a smaller part of like a sitcom, or maybe as a comedy special. I didn't get to the part with the young Jim Carrey, and maybe it was better than the 90s, before everyone was, martyring themselves over every little indiscretion, Dina, or, put yourself on a cross on Facebook because you have to like how unfair it is to get up to go to work. So maybe in the 90s it was more well received, but not enough to get DVD released apparently. Next one, this is the other one where I swear I'm not trolling. Zootopia, which is at an 8. There's one funny part, which they showed in its entirety in the trailer, which is the scene in the DMV. The rest of it, it's so ham-fisted. There's no subtlety. It's just to the point where it almost seems racist in itself, which I've seen that a lot with people who are trying to be so progressive that they accidentally say something racist. Yeah, like it's almost a parody sometimes with how like it just states the text instead of having it be subtext. Like there was some in the Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein where like the subtext was just said out loud. Maybe we're stupid now. I haven't seen the second one. I don't plan on even looking up the plot. I'm pretty sure I just saw this because like my nieces or nephews want to see it and they want another adult to help bring all the kids. But yeah, it's just, I mean, some of the roleplay was fine. The animation was good. The voice acting was good, but it's just, that story was, that was just television on that story. Next one, The Matrix, which I didn't write down the IMDb score. And this movie came out when I was about 10, so I was probably at ripe age to be mystified by the effects and the style. But I was already felt too, I don't say too adult for that movie. Like I knew the science was complete horseshit. The plot didn't make sense. Not just the plot holes specifically. You know, people were mystified by the style and the bullet time. And it's just I just saw through that, and when you go through into it, you realize it's not good. And now, thanks to that idiots online, think we're living in a simulation, which I don't even want to call a theory. That's despair of that word. Um, but yeah, it's just, and I think people have kind of realized that directors are one-hit wonders, and how they seem like philosophy students who got stoned at 2 a.m. and came up with this movie. So this last bit isn't an individual movie, and normally I've talked about elsewhere where I hate blanket statements of like the book is always better, or the original is always better. But I'm kind of bending my rule in this case. I've seen a lot of Italian horror and giallo movies, and I don't think I've legitimately liked any of them. I mean, I've seen dozens, and I've seen the big ones: Argento, Bava, D'Amato, Fulci, and like style with thin, bizarre plots that so many plot holes, so many ripoffs. Even outside of like the dubbing, the acting is bizarre. I end up laughing at the wrong moments. And like Joe Bob Briggs, first they had some experts, French film experts, which is a redundant statement, talk about metatextual layers, at which I was making up that phrase. And even like people who praise it, you know, still seem to talk bad about them, like backhanded compliments, or I don't know. It's just I just don't like them. I'll probably see more recommendations because I've given it like legitimate tries, but it's just not for me. Anywho, stay tuned for my next list of movies I think are underrated. Remember, Garden Mass Store on Etsy, Garden Mass Mercari for 3D prints, 3D print designs, and recycled plastic products. Bye.